Hello again, Steve here to make a comment on something that Styxhexenhammer's said that I recently heard him this morning actually in one of his videos. And I should really make the effort of linking in the description down below, but if you don't see it there, remind me in a comment. I'll do that. He says that we live in an era of lies. Well, I agree with him that there's always there's always lies going on. And in fact, I've been a big, I've been an observer of this for many, many years. And it's part of the Inner Genie project is to awaken ourselves to be a servant of, or somebody who submits ourselves to truth rather than lies. But I remember years ago, a brother of mine and I were talking, and he couldn't figure out why it is that people vote for just crazy people. And my comment then, and this was years ago, it was probably 20 years ago, my comment then was the same as it is now, which is that people vote for lies. Because for many people, the truth is either anathema to them, facts are very dangerous, or they're not familiar with truth, right? Because they've lived a lie all their life. You know, if you believe in welfare and redistribution and theft and everything as virtuous, then the idea of the opposite is really, it's not only strange, but it's scary, and it's something you don't want to deal with. So it's much easier and it's much more palatable. And actually, lies seem a heck of a lot more truthful because that's the normal, right? People respond to what is normal. People want to maintain the status quo, and if they've been lived lies all their life, been sent to government schools and told them that's good, and been told that taxation is. I remember one time, my son, he was in school for a while, not for long after that, mind you, but he was told by his teacher that the reason we got to follow all these laws is because that's where we get our freedom from. He didn't buy it, right? So he couldn't be in school anymore because the veil had been stripped off of his face, and the only way he'd be in I was going to say jail. The only way he could be in school is if we as parents supported such nonsense, which we didn't for long thereafter. Yeah. So anyway, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on, that people. I back and forth with a friend of mine recently, and he seems to be so set against this Trump guy. This Trump guy is just a babbling buffoon, even though it's really odd to me with him in a way, but it's not in a way, and I'll explain that why. But it's odd to me in one way because he's this friend of mine is a very successful entrepreneur, and it's odd that he wouldn't take the moment to think that, well, maybe another successful entrepreneur is not actually an idiot, because it would imply that you could just be a complete idiot and fall into such success, which in his own estimation, that's not the case, because he explains to me that it takes a lot of effort and concerted effort and people skills and all that sort of stuff to create such a business. And I think the main reason why is he's dating a Democrat woman. I mean, that pretty much explains everything there. I mean, he's got to toe the line, right? And he's got to spout her platitudes. Otherwise, well, he won't be getting his jollies for long. That's the way. I mean, the evidence is pretty clear there. And but Styx points out that how there's this idea that there's no evidence for Russian collusion at all. Nothing's ever been presented to the American people, yet they're spending millions and millions and millions on this Mueller character to continue on with this witch hunt. And what have they found? Okay, they found a couple of Russians who placed Facebook ads for Trump and for Bernie Sanders. Nothing illegal there. What else did they find? They found out that Tony Podesta and this Manafort guy laundered money in Ukraine years and years and years ago, which had nothing to do with the Trump campaign. And I believe that Tony Podesta was tied to the Democrat Party, and Manafort at the time maybe had nothing to do with the Republican Party, which, and by the by, Donald Trump is not a Republican, but I repeat myself like a broken record. And remember, the Republicans are the first ones who went after him. And yeah, what else was there? Oh yeah, now the Russians are campaigning for the NRA. It's a Mueller dug up. Yeah, so Putin wants well-armed Americans because that would really help the Russians to take over the world, right? The Dr. Evil of the world. Yeah, so there's all this crazy stuff, which, you know, when you're inside a bubble, maybe it makes sense. When you're really desperate, right, which is what this is all about. This is what this Trump derangement syndrome is all about. It's about people who are living a lie because it's convenient, because the whole basis of themselves, of their existence, is the lie. If you're on welfare, you're living a lie, right? You're living a lie that says that it's justifiable for you to take the unjustifiable gains from other people. In other words, you're living off of stolen money, stolen resources, and that is fundamentally against natural law. It's against any logical law. It's against any natural law that you don't want to be stolen from. But it's okay that you steal from others because the Democrats or whoever it is made something up that says that they stole from you, etc., etc. But there's no logical connection, and that's why they want you. That's why lies seem so reasonable after a while. It's because you've never really been told and taught how to logically think, how to draw these things out, right? Another one, getting away from the politics side of it, is the protein myth, right? Because I've been involved with this for many, many years. Wrote a book back 20 some odd years ago called Optimum Health, right here. Still available in some used bookstores, out of print by now, but maybe I'll reprint it. And it was the same then and it's the same now, right? You get all these people who talk about how we need to have protein, protein, protein. Sister of mine, she is a health expert. She's a very senior nurse. She doesn't want to go for a run anymore because she hits the wall, because she doesn't eat very much, right? But she was telling me the other day that she has to eat more protein so that she has energy. And I asked her, I said, what does a protein got to do with energy? How is that the major component of energy? Isn't it blood sugar? Like, doesn't that primarily come from starch, carbohydrate? An ideal form of carbohydrate, starch, if you want good energy. I can run for miles and miles and miles, and I'm not a nutritional expert. I walked 8,000 kilometers. I've walked 83 kilometers in one day, you know, without a whole lot of training ahead of time, and over 50 years old, right? Does that? I know it's anecdotal. It's one off, but you can't just dismiss that, right? I've been talking about this for ages, for years, for over 25 years now. I've been talking about this, eating a high carb diet, low protein diet, ideally. Baby's milk, mother's milk rather, that newborn babies drink, is very low in protein. And yet, you know, the growth in size of the baby, of a human being, is the largest it ever is in the lifespan of a human being on a very low protein diet. But everybody's talking about high protein, high protein, high protein. You know, the other thing that's funny that people miss is that, you know, when people sell wheat, farmers here, they sell wheat, right? They get paid more for the high protein content. And what is the protein? It's vilified then. Because the protein it's great here and it's not great here, you know, because it's gluten. You got to take the gluten out, which is what? Protein. Yes, gluten is protein, but it's a bad thing. It's a bad protein. It's like now you got good fats and bad fats, good proteins, bad proteins, good carbohydrates, bad carbohydrates. Well, all carbohydrates bad, of course. You know, and then it's astounding. It really is astounding because how pervasive this sort of stuff is. I mean, you got a guy like Jordan Peterson who's eating a meat diet, a meat-only diet, right? And this guy's got doctor behind his name, so people think he knows something about it. I mean, to his credit, he admits to know nothing about it, but he's going to try it anyway. And meanwhile, you get guys like T. Colin Campbell, you know, who's involved in the largest nutritional study in history, the China study. And it's very, very clear that most of the diseases, most of the cardiovascular, a lot of the mental illness, some of the mental illnesses, schizophrenia, I believe, is one, and there's the diabetes and a bunch of these things, cancers. They are protein. They are protein diseases, right? High protein diseases. This stuff is known quite well. But I repeat myself. So yes, I agree with Styx that we do live in an era of lies. And lies, very profitable. If you can get people to believe falsehoods, then you can just create what you want. See, the thing about reality is you can't create reality. Reality, to be a servant of reality, or somebody who submits to reality, you then have to work with it, right? But if you're somebody who's a lie huckster and you're really good at it, then you can just make shit up. And if you can get people to believe them, you can create your own religion. Now look like Joseph Smith, was that his name? The Mormons. You ever study that stuff? Or Scientology? You know, if you don't like the current religion, just make one up. And if you get a bunch of people to believe them, wow, that's extremely profitable. And same with politics, right? If you can get people to believe a bunch of fake news, and you can drive a narrative over here, it doesn't. If you can get enough people suckered into believing this stuff. For example, this guy who's trying to correct me on my ways that he thinks I'm a Trump supporter. You see, so he sends me all these articles, and it's all like the Huffington Post and the Washington. What's the one that's owned by the CIA? Is it or large somewhat? The Washington Post, the New Yorker, and all these different. I don't know what they are. These outlets, shall we say, these tabloids. Anyways, he sends me these articles, and there'll be an article, right? And then there'll be a link in there that says Trump lied, 195 times over, or 1,100 times over a period of time, or whatever. And it'll be a link. So that's supposed to be a reference somewhere. So you click on the link, it goes to another Huffington Post article or whatever, which doesn't give any specifics. There's no specific incident in there. I looked at one of them that he sent me, and there were 2 links anyway. So this, once again, no evidence, just my anecdote. In both of these cases, there's no specifics, which of course there's not, right? Because as soon as you start giving specifics out, then it's a greater likelihood that you'll be debunked. And I guess they know that they're writing for people who are ideological, like this friend of mine, because he's ideological because he wants to get laid, and because of the person he's dating. And it's easier just to say, well, we were just speaking in vague generalities. It's a plausible deniability. They know that critical thinking people are not reading their tabloids at this point. It's only people who are ideological, and they can speak this sort of thing. I guess. I don't know. But I mean, they have to be losing ground. And this is why they're so freaked out by the alt tech and the alt media. And that's why they keep flipping. That's why they come up with the term fake news, right? They come up with the term fake news, and of course Trump ran with it. I mean, Trump wasn't the first guy to use it. I think he was the first guy to use very fake news, though. So, anyways, so yeah, Trump's this great liar, all right. And sure, he's an exaggerator for sure. I'm not sure if he's a perpetual liar. I think he just speaks up. He's unscripted, right, most of the time, and makes tons of errors. When you're going to be unscripted, you're going to make tons of errors. But lying outrightly, I don't know. I think at times he's diplomatic, and that comes across as lying. The things he was saying about Elizabeth May when he was talking to her at Chequers, I would categorize those as lies. But I think I understand that it's diplomatic lies, and no excuse really, but I think I understand why it's being done. And but that's all politicians. That's Donald Trump politician in politician mode. Anyways, yes, I agree. We do live in an era of lies, and the lesson here is, of course, for us to wake up to it. Inner Genie Project, we're waking up to ourselves and to what's going on in the world, and we are going to attempt to our best to live by virtue and by decency and honesty, and that equals out to quality of life in the long term, I believe. Steve here again, great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.